Welcome to growthtofreedom.com, the show that brings you inspiration, transformation, and leadership. We're helping you connect the dots, see the blind spots, and get unstuck so you can go out and generate more leads, more sales, more profits. More importantly, so you can go out and have a bigger reach, a bigger impact, and make a bigger contribution.
Do you feel like you are set up for success? I have to say that I'm a little bit pissed about what's going on in our industry right now. I've talked to a handful of people. Maybe you're one of them, and maybe you know someone like this where deep down you feel like you've been set up to fail, right? You know, I don't know if you're running webinars right now, or you're running a sales process, or you're running a video sales system of some kind, or a webinar model, or an evergreen webinar model, and maybe you've plateaued, or maybe you've tried it and complete and utter disgust and failure. And you're wondering, is it me? What's wrong? And the truth of the matter is that a lot of experts, a lot of the gurus, so to speak, have left something out. And enough is enough, right? Things have changed. What was working 6 months ago, a year ago, is not working today. And the reality, I see so many good, hardworking people who have bought the dream, who've bought the belief that I can do this, and they're going for it. And they put forth the effort, and guess what? They're struggling. Not only that, but a lot of the big tech companies have set you up to fail too. Big Blue, other media companies that own the platform. If we're on their platform, we are their customer, especially if it's a free platform. And you can read between the lines to know what I'm talking about. And here's the thing. I want to introduce you to a couple steps. I was reviewing some results with some of our clients today, and I'd like to share a quick case study with you and a handful of lessons of what we've learned working with clients doing millions and millions of dollars with a sales online system, a webinar model, if you will. And I want to introduce you to this because, you know, if you're struggling with your webinar model or your sales system, or maybe you've plateaued, or maybe you've tried and failed, there's hope for you. And I want to give you a new way to be able to think about your sales process that likely you've never learned before. In fact, I shared a diagram of this with Joel Irway privately. I don't know if you know Joel, but he's one of the top webinar people in the world. Like, he's one of the best in the world at helping you script a webinar. Like, I mean, truly one of the best in the world. And when I shared this, he's like, wow, this is really amazing. And I want to just share with you the psychology of this and steps that you can put in today that ideally, if you've got a webinar that maybe is flatlined or maybe is plateaued, you can put some of these changes in place, implement, take action with them today, and start seeing some improved results. Why? Because it's working with our clients, right? And here's a harsh truth. Stop focusing so much on the webinar. See, maybe you've been, misled by experts saying, you've got to have the perfect presentation, or you're just one presentation away, or you need the perfect webinar script. And you know what? All of that is great, and you should have a foundation of that thing. But my experience is the presentation on the webinar is about 1/5 of really what it takes. In fact, in a second, I'm going to reveal to you some of the case study numbers of just one of our clients that we're working with, that the results we're creating, we're only getting about 15 to 20% of the results from the webinar, and the rest happens in the downstream, which I'll walk through what that means in a second. Now, by the way, my name's Dan Kuschell. If we haven't met, I'm a founder of a company called Breakthrough 3X. And what we do is we help founders, CEOs, experts, results leaders go out and help grow and scale, 6, 7, and 8-figure models, processes, sales, marketing with less stress and a whole lot less drama, to simplify their business, to help give freedom, to help get them out of the day-to-day operations of their business. So if you'd like to understand some of what's working right now, maybe why, if your webinar, your sales model isn't working, then I think you're going to love what I have to share with you. And I made a couple notes because I want to stay on track in this short few-minute overview. But here's what you should know, right? When I was a kid, I didn't do a lot of camping. I grew up in the inner city, so let's face it, I didn't do a lot of camping. But we went out a couple times, And what I see in business today is a lot of people have bought this idea. And when I got started in direct response marketing all the way back in the 80s, 1987, 1988 is when I got started. I worked with a direct response company, direct mail, TV, radio. Back then, you could literally run an ad or put out a direct mail piece and immediately get a result and a response. And many times your ROI could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 to 1 right away. You didn't have to worry so much about the long-term value. And I liken it to a campfire. Years ago, it would be like you could, have a campsite with some logs in it. You could put gasoline on it, light a match, and throw your match into the set of logs with the gasoline and catch a blaze, right? Well, that was the old approach. That was maybe what was working a couple of years ago. Today, it's different. The new approach to it today is, yes, you want to have as great a presentation as you can, but the other pieces along with it help keep that fire burning long after the presentation. And that's really critical. Your reputation is incredible. The social capital, the social proof that you create, the social results you develop out in the marketplace really means something, really matters, right? Long-term matters today, far more than ever. Relationship capital matters, doesn't it? Right? And if you want to have a bigger impact, a bigger reach, a bigger contribution, generate more sales, more profits, not just today, but for the long term, you're gonna love this simple idea. So you can continue to go at it like we are one presentation away and think you need the magic button of a magic presentation, and or you can take a full 360 view of the model. And here's that 360 view. It's not just the presentation. You want to build kindling. So what do you do if you're going to, go out and build a campfire, right, without gasoline? You light a piece of paper, for example, and then you might get some branches and you put some branches on top of it, right? And you get some heat and it starts smoldering, right? Then you get some more branches that are a little bigger, right? And you put those on top. And then what do? You put a log on top of that that's heated, and now you've got a fire and it's sustainable. Is that what you want? See, if that's what you want, this new method will transform the way you think about your webinars, your sales, your marketing processes and models moving forward. So here's a couple quick results. Over the last few months with one of our clients, we've helped them drive leads to their webinar model, and we've generated over 7,700 new opt-ins, new subscribers, through paid traffic, right? And 7,700 subscribers. We did a variety of different webinars. They were more trainings than they were selling webinars, right? Because that's the style of some of the clients that we're working with overall, right? And so there were trainings and then a call to action built in, right? Not a typical, leave a lot open, don't teach a lot, don't put a lot of value out there crap that you see in the marketplace today, and that a lot of experts are teaching people to do, right? These were real trainings with real value. And then an invitation, which is a great sales concept. Make an invitation, don't sell, actually make an invitation to go deeper. And so we made the invitation and we got about 10%. We generated about 770 phone call sessions, like call it a strategy session, a breakthrough session, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it's book a call to have a conversation to see if we can help you, right? So 7,700 opted in for the webinars. We had approximately 770 book calls. Now, of course, not all of those people will show up. Now, this isn't something that most experts will tell you. They'll make you think all of them show up. They don't, right? If you get 50 to 60% of them to show up, you're doing really solid, right? So out of that, call it 350 to 500 that show up and you have a conversation. We enroll approximately 180 people in a front end introductory program for a couple $1,000s. Now, here are a couple keys. Number one, there's a cycle for this. The cycle takes a little bit of time, right? We found, here's lesson number one with this. Lesson number one is you want to give value in whatever you put out in the market, including the webinar. Think of it in terms of a training to solve a problem and not just a webinar to make a pitch or make a sale. So number one, give value. Number two, is you want to make a great offer and a great invitation. Give people a reason to want to have that conversation with you. That's really critical. It's got to be compelling, not convincing. Really, really, really critical. And ideally, if you're enjoying this, make sure to post a comment below to let us know that you're enjoying this session. Next, out of those 770 calls booked. We had a certain number of show. We enrolled about 180. Now, here's a key. On the front end of this, we were profitable based on what we were offering compared to the ad costs. About 2 to 1, just short of 2 to 1 ROI on the front end. But here's the key. As they got started with their front end program and took advantage of that front end program, we had another offer for them. And that offer was a multiple of the front end program. And I can't give the real numbers because you wouldn't believe them anyway, because this particular client is amazing at what they do in fulfillment and service and support. And it generated, I will say, millions of dollars in sales on the back end, but I'm just going to use $1 million, right? It was far more than that, but I'm just going to use a single million for the sake of example. So how did that happen, right? It didn't happen because they threw a match at a log and just went, oh, I'm going to have one magical presentation and push a button and that's it. Bring me sales. No, we were very strategic in setting this up. The webinar itself produced about 10% of the results. But we set up a 21-day follow-up. I encourage you, anything you put out in the marketplace is a link in a chain. Or another way to think of it is like what Netflix does. Netflix is one of the best in the world. It's create mini-series, create seasons. Every webinar, every month could be a new season. But each season has a series. Our series are approximately 21 to 28 days. Now, you don't just keep pounding the same thing in front of people, right? Like, would you watch Seinfeld if every episode was exactly the same episode? Of course not. What do? They change the episode. But it's still entertaining. There's still a theme. There's still the main characters, just like you, just like your business, just like what problems you solve in your industry, right? So think of creating a trailing mini series. For example, you might have your webinar, you might run a replay for 2 or 3 days. That's pretty common. And that's where most traditional experts tell you to go and stop. And whatever results you get, but you'd be missing out on what we have found over 75% of the other results because of this mini series process following 21 days and then starting a new season and having another training and webinar and then having another 21 days of the mini series and then having another one. And I'll get to some other statistics that may be of help and support to you in just a second. Now, again, if you're enjoying this, you might be saying, well, hey, Dan, could you and your team just help us do this? Yes. If you want to go deeper with us and you'd like us to actually help you implement this and just put it in place, there'll be a link here on the page somewhere where you can do that, a button maybe or a link, just hit it and we can have a conversation and see if we might be a good fit, or we could refer you to a partner that might be able to help you do this depending on your business, depending on industry, a lot of different factors involved. We're not a fit for everybody, right? We're not like, our program is not a one size fits all kind of model. It's something that we customize based on our client's needs and situation, right? And some people are fit and some aren't. But if you want to have that conversation to see how we can help you implement these things in a very simple way, then schedule a call. I think you can go to breakthroughstrategycall.com. That's breakthroughstrategycall.com as well, and or hit the link or hit a button on the page depending on how you're seeing this. So let's go back into it. Lesson 1, when you do a training or a webinar, put out some incredible value, then make an invitation, not a pitch. Number 2, when you make your offer, make the offer irresistible. Make it a compelling offer, not try to convince people, right? Number 3 is make sure that you have a mini series. Again, you're having kindling. So think of your fire and having more kindling on the back end to keep the fire burning with clients, just like what all the great series in the world do, right? Game of Thrones. Again, it wasn't one episode shoved in our face like a lot of webinar models and a lot of experts teach. No, it's different episodes. It's different themes. It's different characters. It's different conflicts that you face. I mean, think about that. What are the different conflicts your customers face? I mean, could you come up with 5 to 10 different ones? You could do one training a month based on the major conflicts that your clients and customers face in your niche, in your industry. And then create a series around that, couldn't you? Like, it's not that complicated, is it? Or is it? I don't know. Like, I guess if it's kind of simple for you, it's simple for you. But if it's not and you need help, well, then you need help. So number 1, put out training with value. Number 2 is make a compelling, irresistible offer. Number 3, create a mini series, right? Think of it in 21-day series following the actual webinar. And you'll find if you do this, by the way, in the follow-up mini series, you're still having an offer. Each of the pieces. So let me go back to the model. Let's say you do the replay for 3 days following the live webinar. Then you have a new piece of content. It might be a 3 to 5 minute value piece, education piece, training piece, whatever you want, helping your client solve conflict. That's really important. Solve a conflict. And then it will have an invitation, likely to be, it could be a product offer, it could be your sale. And most of the time we find setting the stage for a conversation to answer questions, to see if we're a right fit, that sort of thing, like a breakthrough strategy call of some kind, or a growth call, or a clarity call of some kind, right? Run that for 3 days, then have a new content sequence for another 3 days. And then you can also intermittently mix in some urgency pieces. Like, hey, time is running out. Our bonuses are coming down if you were offering bonuses. Intermingled throughout the mini-series.
Thanks for listening to this episode of growthtofreedom.com. Are you struggling to get a steady flow of new clients every day? Or maybe hit a plateau or hit a wall in growing your business? Well, let's help you solve this problem today. Let's review your business and have a conversation. You can do that for free today at breakthroughstrategycall.com. That's breakthroughstrategycall.com. In addition, if you're looking for a simple way to implement some of what we've been talking about in today's episode, then I want to encourage you to get our free small business toolkit. You can get that at activate.breakthrough3x.com. That's activate.breakthrough3x.com. If you'd like access to the special resources and all the show notes for this special episode, make sure to visit growthtofreedom.com.